everyone, this is Maria from Hairy Dog Crafts. Today I thought I'd just go through the variety of supplies that we sell to help with your crafting needs. So to start with, we have these wool blends. Now these are created from wool and other fibres such as silk and glitter, and they just make really fun, if you can see, they're really fun to work with and they make your projects more interesting and hopefully inspire you. So for instance, this one is 12 grams and it has merino and corridor wool, glitter, bamboo and rose fibre. Now rose fibre, if I can show you, has almost a silky like appearance and looks really pretty, particularly in wet felting and spinning. There you go. So that's one of the smaller quantities that we have. And then this is one of the larger quantities. Now this is a whole drum full. So they're created on the drum carder, which is a spiky barrel with a handle. And with that I add all of the fibres that I want and then pull it off, and it creates this size. But I then split it down into smaller quantities or keep it like this. So this one has merino and corridor wool, glitter, which is actually Angelina, sari silk and mulberry silk. Now you can see the sari silk on the surface there. Now I would personally use this quantity for wet felting something like a bag, or you could spin a whole skein of yarn from it. Let's pop that down. So with these wool blends you can weave them, spin them or felt them, or just, you know, look at them because they're pretty. So to start with, the weaving. So a lot of people use the roving like this and they weave it into things like wall hangings. I've not personally tried it, but there are some amazing creations out there on social media. Next, spinning. So if you want to have a go at spinning in an affordable way, we sell these 3D printed drop spindles. So this is what it starts out like, and then we print it on our 3D printer and create this. Now this is super handy for, you know, if you need to put it away, if you're lacking space, just put it in a bag or something like that. And also makes it more affordable for us posting it out to you, because it sends as a large letter as opposed to a small parcel. So when you're putting it together, just ensure that the notch is at the back of the hook, like that, and you're good to go. And then you can spin yarn, and from this yarn you can then knit with it, you can crochet with it, or you can weave. I've seen some beautiful scarves that are woven. That's on one of my lists. Huge weaving. But this was actually woven on one of my weaving project packs. Sorry. I haven't got any for sale at the moment, but I'm planning on making some more up. So I print these small weaving looms. I forgot the word then. Could you tell? And I include the needle for weaving through, and also a tapestry needle for finishing, and a variety of yarns. So I will be making those again. Right, so that was the spinning. I have a list. I'm just working through. Also, to help with your crochet and knitting, I make these stitch keepers, which are made from my handmade buttons and put on a lobster clasp. And then with crochet, you just put it on your final loop. If you're anything like me and take months and months and months to complete anything, it's super handy because you don't come back and find that it's all undone itself. Okay, next wet felting. So you can use this for wet felting. You lay it down in strips, try and crisscross it at 90 degrees and build it up, and you can create so many different things. For instance, this bag, so the cord is wet felted, so you lay the wool out and you roll it to create a cord and just keep going until it's strong. And the bag is wet felted around a rectangle. Now you can use anything for this. I use old cardboard and bubble wrap around it, and then felt around it and create a 3D. If you want more information, I will happily talk at you for hours about wet felting. I'm a bit out of practice at the moment as I've not been doing it, but I love it. It's one of my favourite things. So wet felting, and you don't need much for wet felting. So you need a towel to stop yourself swamping your area. You need bubble wrap, and I use this bottle with water and soap, and you also need hot water, so a kettle. But there are tons of tutorials out there for wet felting. It's on my list to show you how to make some bits. I did do a walkthrough of a cat cave back in November, but there are just so many things. I won't start. Next is also with the wet felting, before I move on. So I sell these clips, which are, you may have seen them. They're really useful for sewing, but also for wet felting. Unfortunately, I've sold my last hat, so I can't show you. But when I'm making hats, I put in folds and then use these to hold the folds in place. And I also use them if I'm creating curly cords, and so I've wrapped them around something, for instance, like a piece of dowel, wooden dowel, not metal, and you can use these to hold them in place until they dry. Right, needle felting. So I sell a selection of tools for needle felting. So I sell single needles ranging from fine to coarse, and also reverse felting needles, which you use for creating a fur-like effect. Now, I've recently put in stock these wooden base felting mats made by World of Wool. This is my one, just to show you. Mine's a plastic base, unfortunately, but they're absolutely brilliant for felting on. Whenever I'm needle felting, you can even put these, if you're making a bag and needle felting, for example, I put these inside and then felt on the outside, and it stops your bag felting together as you poke through the fibres. So these lovely felting mats. And I also have multi-tools. So these have 7 needles in. They're the fine grade needles. This is my one. I actually only have 4 needles left in mine, because I steal them every time I want a single needle. But they are absolutely brilliant for felting larger areas. You just stab it down like this, and you'll have a large area done in absolutely no time. Super handy, super handy. Unfortunately, because they are chunky, they do have to go as a small parcel, which pushes up the postage price. I'm sorry. Right, so that was needle felting. Bringing back the bag. The keyboard on this is needle felted. just to give you an example. Or I have an absolutely beautiful Nomi made for me by Sasha at JJ Crafts. This is an example of 3D needle felting. Love him. He sits in my office, helps me out, little assistant. And I think that's covered it. I'm just looking at my list. Oh, no, ignore me. Not quite done. I'm sorry. Hang in there. So, for your yarn you've spun on your drop spindle, we also 3D print the niddy noddies. I have a more in-depth video of how to use your niddy noddies and extenders. This is a basic walkthrough that makes your 2-yard niddy noddy, or you can just have a yard niddy noddy without the extenders. But what is a niddy noddy, you ask? You use it for making a skein of yarn. So I previously used to wrap around my hand and my elbow, which works, but this makes a much nicer finished product. So this is a 2-yard skein. Here we go. And also I've created a new design for my niddy noddies, which I will hopefully be starting to list on my website and Etsy soon, once I've perfected. It's awful being a perfectionist, isn't it? Everything takes forever. So these new ones will have an inch measurement on them for measuring your wraps per inch for your wool. So it will be on the niddy noddy here. You can see this is one of the ones that I've printed and I wasn't very happy with, but this will be an inch. And you just use that to wrap your yarn around like this. And it will, sorry, this isn't sanded, so I've got sharp bits on it. But just to show you, that's a small amount, but you would wrap it around the whole inch and you see how many strands you have in that inch, and that is your wraps per inch. I'm sure there are things that tell you that much clearer and more in depth, but it helps with knowing what needle size or what hook size to use for your knitting and crocheting, basically. Cool. So if there is anything else you want to know, then please just ask. Oh, one last thing. We also, you may have noticed on some of our wool blends and bats, we have these wool locks. So these are from sheep that are naturally curly, so they won't lose their curl, and you can use them in your felting and spinning. So with your spinning, you just want to fluff them out a bit so that they will catch. And the same with the wet felting and needle felting, to be honest. Just attach them at this end and then you've got the pretty bit hanging out. There you go. I love them. Okay, now I think I'm done. Oh no, I'm not. I'm so sorry. Finally, we also sell these variety packs. Now I'm hoping I can get this in the shot. This is our Mermaid Pack. So in these you have a variety of different coloured wools. This one also has some curly wool locks, and I've got bits such as glittery wool, sari silk, and mulberry silk, which is beautifully shiny. It looks gorgeous in anything that you make. And they're great for spinning with, weaving with, and felting with, needle and wet felting. So there we go, and we have a variety of different packs. This is my favourite because I love purple, blue, pink and green together. So there we go. So that one was 56 grams of fibre. I'm sorry, you probably can't see that card. Now I think I'm complete. Again, if you have any questions, please just ask me. I'm not an expert at spinning, felting or weaving, but I will help you with anything that I possibly can. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.